Welcome to Triumph IAS. It's a daily mains practice question and answer series. This program is exclusively designed for UPSC CSE aspirants. In this video discussion, we will discuss UPSC CSE mains previous 25-year questions. Question number 1. The political and administrative reorganization of states and territories has been a continuous ongoing process since the mid-19th century. Discuss with examples. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Before independence, India was divided into 565 princely states. At this time, India had three types of states: territories of British India, princely states, and the colonial territories of France and Portugal. After independence, there has been a growing demand for the reorganization of the states based on financial, economic, and administrative management, and also due to the growing importance of regional languages. The main body of the answer should be: after the Indian independence, 562 princely states had nodded to join the Indian Confederation except Hyderabad, Junagadh, Bhopal, and Kashmir. The States Reorganization Act, 1956, was enacted by the Parliament under Article 4 of the Constitution of India. The new states formed as a result of this act are Andhra Pradesh, Bombay, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Madras, Mysore, Punjab, and Rajasthan. And thereafter the Parliament also enacted various reorganization acts from time to time, i.e. the Bombay Reorganization Act in 1960, the Punjab Reorganization Act in 1966, the State of Himachal Pradesh Reorganization Act in 1970, and the Northeastern States Reorganization Act in 1971. The latest in this category is the Reorganization Acts of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Bihar, which were enacted by the Parliament in November 2000, as well as the creation of two union territories from the erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir in 2019. Conclusion of the answer is: it is better to allow democratic concerns like development, decentralization, and governance rather than religion, caste, language, or dialect to be the valid basis for conceding the demands for a new state. Also, the fundamental problems of development and governance deficits such as concentration of power, corruption, administrative inefficiency, etc. must be addressed. Question number 1. While the national political parties in India favor centralization, the regional parties are in favor of state autonomy. Comment. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Federalism is one of the basis structures of our constitution, under which in normal circumstances powers have been divided between the center and state. This federalism has brought political unity, but emotional unity is yet to be achieved. The main body of the answer should be: in various circumstances center is more powerful than the state, that skewed up the relationship among union and state. Examples are centralization tendencies. Number 1. States have less financial autonomy and more dependency on the center for financial assistance apart from constitutional controls. Number 2. Center is resorting more towards ordinance route for making laws rather than doing the healthy discussions in the parliament. Number 3. Infringement in the area where states have some autonomy, especially in the area of residuary powers, state lists. Number 4. Use of Article 252 and 256, President rule, most often, and issuing of directives under the same. Number 5. Appoint of governors and misuse of the office of governor. Number 6. Power to make laws with respect to state lists also being taken by the center. Number 7. Provision of planning commission, quasi-federal nature, and division of power are inclined towards centralization. Number 8. Center has started making schemes in the area of health too which may not fit for all the states. This creating a case of confrontational federalism rather than cooperative federalism. These are the reasons which are giving up thrust to the demand of state autonomy. Regional parties which are being seen mushrooming favor state autonomy because: Number 1. National parties are less vocal about local issues. Number 2. Most often national parties try to weaken the state party aspirations and create factionalism. Number 3. For the development of the local regions. Conclusion of the answer is thus a rise of regional parties not only changing the face of federalism from cooperative to confrontational and competitive, but it will going to change the political representation in the lower houses too, which will going to help in constructive development of polity as well as the country. Question number 3. What is the basic principle behind vaccine development? How do vaccines work? What approaches were adopted by the Indian vaccine manufacturers to produce COVID-19 vaccines? Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Basic principle behind vaccines. Vaccines are generally classified as live or non-live, sometimes loosely referred to as inactivated, to distinguish those vaccines that contain attenuated replicating strains of the relevant pathogenic organism from those that contain only components of a pathogen or kill whole organisms. In addition to the traditional live and non-live vaccines, several other platforms have been developed over the past few decades, including viral vectors, nucleic acid-based RNA and DNA vaccines, and virus-like particles. The main body of the answer should be, vaccines work in following way. Vaccines work by mimicking the infectious bacteria or viruses that cause disease. Vaccination stimulates the body's immune system to build up defenses against the infectious bacteria or virus organism without causing the disease. The parts of the infectious organism that the immune system recognizes are foreign to the body and are called antigens. Vaccination exposes the body to these antigens. Some vaccines contain weakened versions of a bacteria or virus, other vaccines contain only part of the bacteria or virus. Some vaccines contain only the genetic material for a specific protein and direct the body to produce a small amount of that protein. The body's immune system reacts defensively once it detects this protein. Production scale-up of vaccines is a step-by-step process involving several regulatory SOPs of GMP, standard operating procedures of good manufacturing practices. There is a 4-month lag time for Covaxin registered trademark symbol to translate into actual vaccination. The manufacturing, testing, release and distribution of vaccines is a complex and multifactorial process with hundreds of steps, requiring a diverse pool of human resources. For vaccines to result in actual vaccination of people, highly coordinated efforts are required from international supply chains, manufacturers, regulators, and state and central government agencies. The timeline for manufacturing, testing, and release for a batch of Covaxin registered trademark symbol is approximately 120 days, depending on the technology framework and regulatory guidelines to be met. Conclusion of the answer is, thus, production batches of Covaxin registered trademark symbol that were initiated during March 2021 will be ready for supply only during the month of June 2021.